All right. Hello, Mr. Sajjan Raj. Good
Yes, Mr.
afternoon.
Vasant. Good afternoon.
Okay, as you know, I'm going to interview about the ethics in your work as an engineer.
Okay.
So, before that, can you tell me about yourself and your background of your work?
Okay. Myself is Sajan Raj. I'm working for Mitsubishi Electric Air Conditioning Division in India. I take care of entire South India with a value of business not less than 200 million Indian rupees.
Okay.
And I take care of almost about four product lines on the air conditioning division, which includes residential, commercial, and industrial division also.
Oh, well, okay. 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 Can we start the interview?
Yes.
Okay. First and foremost, ethics is the principle of good and bad behavior governing what is right and wrong in conduct. In engineering profession, ethics can be divided into personal and professional ethics. Can you explain both of these ethics?
Okay. Personal ethics is rather can called be as moral responsibility. It doesn't come under ethics as such. Because personal moral responsibility comes on the way how you have been groomed from your childhood. And the social responsibilities also come into your moral responsibilities. So coming into professional ethics is nothing about the challenges, the problems and scenarios based on which your solution changes on day-to-day life, which is purely based on the type of work what you do and for the company which has got their governing laws and regulations with relevant to your profession. But professional ethics as such for an engineer who has just been graduated can be taken as a moral responsibility plus the studies whatever you have undergone. But when you go into a practical state of work, it's purely based on your area of working and the company's rules and regulations which govern them 50-50.
Okay, that's a good explanation about these two.
Yes. Second question.
Okay, do you know what are the senses of engineering ethics?
Census in the sense, how do you explain that? Census of engineering ethics. Census can be maybe rather be called as what are the different ways which you may or may not face ethical questions. We can call that as a census, I believe. It is majorly based on the area of where you get the problem or a dilemma of using an
Oh,
ethical solution, which can be majorly maybe because of controversies in your area of work, or it might be an professional dilemma which rises contributing to two or three parties joining together, which may alter your belief in that work.
for the next question, the safety and health are two important elements in the engineering profession. What is the
Mm.
safety and health program in the workplace? Can you describe
Safe.
why it is important to manage the safety and health at a workplace?
Yes. Okay, let me put these two as actually an interrelated issue. It is not that safety separate and health separate as such. It is like both
So,
interrelated in your profession, in any profession as such.
so they are
If the
both.
health of the worker is not being correct for a very long time, he is not safe.
Yeah.
This is point one. And maybe safety might be good, but the on a long run, the worker or the profession cannot be healthy or safe for anybody as such. Maybe I'll just give you an example of being two separate profession. Let us get to the mining profession
Yeah.
and let us take a metallurgical profession as such. Mining is nothing but you just drill into the ground seeking for so many other criteria. It might be gold, it might be coal, it might be manganese, it can be anything. But what happens is that you can have a safety area over there. You can have a proper canopy, proper bridges underground so that the actual dirt doesn't cave in your mining profession. But when you are exposed too long inside the mining area, your health will go for a toss.
Okay. Do you have do you know any general criteria to become a professional engineer?
criteria as such, it's not maybe since you're asking from your study background as such, we don't have a point. Maybe out of my experience, I can give you some points. There are some standards and protocol in your profession,
Yep.
which is mandatorily need to be followed, against which you cannot perform. Denying this doesn't make you a proper professional.
Okay.
So you need to follow some standards in which you have been brought up or you have studied, and you need to have some kind of what to say upgradation in your profession, or rather you can develop your creativity. You can upgrade your point of work, so that what happens is that you stand out
Mhm.
of the normal other professionals. So these are the criteria which makes you a better professional in the same background, outsmarting other professionals as such. Other than that, following company guidelines, rather if you are working to some company, you can also be a standalone professional. That's a different story, but it depends upon whatever professional which you follow. Since I am from a company background without any business as such, you need to follow the company rules and regulations,
Yep.
and also follow moral responsibility, which becomes certain point very important when you are managing with the general public as such.
Next would be, how would you manage a situation where you believe that something was not in compliance with professional ethics? Have you ever faced with such situation?
Okay, you are talking about any situations which led to the compliance with professional ethics in my area of concern. Okay, let me come to a simple example which I have gone through maybe many years back or even now. Let us assume we have an industrial air conditioning division where there is one ex customer,
Mm.
and we provide equipments and the installation is done by another party. So let us assume another party may be Y party and another party might be Z party, and X is the customer.
Okay.
And we are dealing with Mitsubishi chillers.
Mm.
Okay, what happens is that the customer wants to go with equipment and installation towards one party.
Okay.
So Mitsubishi equipment would be bought in by Y party. Installation will also be done by Y party and given to X. So X gives the money to Y, and Y buys Mitsubishi chillers, does installation and give you proper solution. So Z also competes for the same job.
Yeah.
So as per company policy, a customer, X is the customer, he can call or take multiple quotations as far as customer is concerned,
Yeah.
because he can get a better deal out of Y, Z, or anybody as for that case. As per company policy, as such, we can only support any one party, which might be Z or it might be Y. So in this place, it is like what to say, there is a clash in between the company policy and professional ethics. Professional ethics and moral responsibility also comes into picture, whereas the customer gets a better deal out of it because he is going to buy only one equipment, but he wants a better deal out of the same with anybody as such.
All right. It's a good professional of your company. Thank you. Okay. So the next question is actually regarding to the engineers in Malaysia, but in your case, I just twist a bit as in India.
Mm,
Okay. In board of engineers in India,
mm,
there are two main groups of engineers, namely as graduate engineers and professional engineers.
mm.
Can you explain the requirement to become both group of engineers, which is graduate engineer and a professional engineer?
So graduate engineer is just, I feel from my side, maybe how your country takes it as such, I have no idea. Just I'll just give you my input, what we feel as such. Graduate engineer is nothing but just take a degree of any uh, study as such. It might be mechanical, it might be chemical, it might be computer science, anything. You just take a degree and you may not follow the same profession.
Yeah, that's what most of us doing right now.
So it is just a profession on degrees, but you are professionally not that. You
Yeah.
might be into any industry as such. Whereas professional engineering is nothing but the guy who has finished a mechanical engineering falls into the same stream of work profile and later starts his own business, becomes a professional engineer.
Yep.
Or pioneering in the same field. Maybe a mechanical engineer can pioneer in any field as boilers, gas turbines, automobiles, air conditioning, ventilation, fuel fluid dynamics, strength of materials. There are so many things.
Yeah.
So he can just follow into any stream and become a thorough professional in that field, makes him a very professional engineer. If you call me as an engineer, yes, I am an engineer, graduate engineer. When I follow into a professional engineering stream, I become a professional air conditioning engineer.
Okay. We are
So
air conditioning.
the two main groups are these, what you call it as. Maybe a graduate engineering can become a professional engineer.
Oh,
And all professional engineers are definitely a graduate engineers. But all graduate engineers cannot be a professional engineers. If they choose to, they can become.
yep. That's for sure. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next, what we got? What are the general features of morally responsible engineers?
General features of moral responsible engineers.
Yep.
They have to follow the company guidelines and work individually. Required, they can collaborate. Wherever this is called as maybe autonomous function, they call it as.
Mm,
And accountability of any work which a professional or an engineer does, they need an accountability for that. So because any design done by me for an air conditioning, I remain accountable.
okay.
Tomorrow there is no proper cooling, I am accountable. And what you need to do with consciousness and follow all the design procedures and environmental friendliness, that is all comes as a part of your professional ethics. And also you need to see the plus and minuses of your design. You should not be just only seeing your way of designing it. Does it give you or provide any hassle to the other area of communication? For example, you install an air conditioning equipment that remains an hindrance to the civil or interior.
Mm,
So you need to have a comprehensive ideology in giving you a solution. So I feel one is individual function or autonomous function, being accountable for you,
mm,
and joint work as a team player. You need to be there, and maybe comprehensive perspective of your work procedure. Other than this, I don't feel anything to be done. Added.
okay. 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 So there's accountability there.
Mm.
Oh,
An individual working procedure and what to say, foresee the professional way so that you don't provide an hindrance to the other party. That's it.
so what would you do if you saw a valued customer behaving in unethical manner?
That is actually a good question. We do find a lot of customers like this in our day-to-day life. So
So,
we as a entity and being an engineer, we cannot be unethical to a customer being unethical to us.
mm, mm,
So we as an entity need to follow certain guidelines. We need to follow certain procedural codes, which is also may be called as ethical codes as being a professional. Leaving an opportunity is very easy, but
mm,
leaving an opportunity of an unethical customer of a huge value is lost to a profession. So we ensure that we satisfy their demands, which may be unethical, but we don't satisfy them in an unethical manner. How do I give you what to give you an example for maybe for this? Okay, let me just put it into the same way.
okay.
There might be some customer who want to procure the equipment only through cash,
Okay.
not through any uh, transfer or checks or
Mm,
demand drafts or some kind,
okay.
and they want to waive off the GST since they are giving us cash.
Mm, mm,
As a company point of view, we cannot operate anything in cash. or
Oh.
we cannot waive off GST because of cash.
Mm-mm.
So customer side, he is being unethical because he doesn't want to
Pay for the.
provide the money in a legal way. That
Okay.
is actually unethical. And second unethical activity is that he doesn't want to pay GST.
Mm-mm.
So there are 2 points of being unethicalness in this. Whereas leaving this opportunity is very easy, but gaining this opportunity, solving customers' request, and also being in a professional way or ethical way is very tough. So what do we say is that we accept cash.
Uh-huh.
Just we solve customers one demand, and we don't take it directly through cash. We appoint our dealer,
Mm-mm.
who is a bridge in between the customer and the company as such. He takes us cash on behalf of the company, but he is not a company's legal responsibility.
Mm-mm. So, for the next question is, what is your first reaction when your senior manager assigns you a task that you think is impossible?
Impossible. It is usually I assign the task for others being impossible. So you are asking me this question.
Uh,
Okay. What do you do is that you cannot just first say no. Because when somebody is assigning you a task, he is not so stupid to give you an impossible task on the first level. So he has given you a task which he sees possible.
mm-mm.
So it's your view being impossible. So start thinking from your way and turn into a thinking person perspective of your manager who has given you a task.
Okay.
Just think on the way how that gentleman or woman has given you a work which he has thought it is possible. It is impossible to you, but he still feels that it is possible. So
Okay.
change your way of change your attitude towards the problem which has been given to you
Mm-mm.
and start thinking on the opposite party how they have thought that. So if you take this as the first point, you will definitely find some ways and avenues to
Mm-mm.
bring a result. And there might be some point which your senior manager or your manager couldn't have foreseen and just given you an impossible task.
Mm. For the last question, okay, the last question I want to ask you: what is the method you normally use to solve an ethical problem? There are some methods, right?
There are not many methods as such. There are some methods only. It is purely based on the problem. First, analyze and recognize what is the problem or issue. Okay, so find that. Then you will find out what is the outline of the problem. Then go in depth in it and find the parameters which has led to that problem.
Okay.
So you have to gather information, get specifics about that problem, and you need to find out what is the actual point creating a problem.
Mm-mm.
Then, after finding what it is, you should also be working out a parameter which will have an alternate way of doing the same without a problem. Same procedure, thought in an alternate way, can fetch you the result without any mistakes or a problem. So finding and gathering information and specifics of that problem will give you the nature of the source of issue. So think in an alternate way, evaluate all the plus and minuses,
Okay.
and you can come up with an other way. And also implementing that, you need to see after implementation of that, will it fetch you another problem which you have not foreseen from the other angle, whether it is fetching you some other problem.
Yeah.
So this is the we have ways and principles how you evaluate, find out the source, go into the specifics, write down the parameters, evaluate the benefits, and foresee the alternate way.
Okay.
And this is how we make a proper diagnosis and result of a problem.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, your questions is over.
Yeah, that's the question I need to know for as now. If I got need to know
Hmm.
anything more, I just can contact you, right?
Yeah, you are welcome, Mr. Vasant, Engineer Vasant.
Okay, I think this is the wonderful interview I had before this. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye. See you.
Bye bye.